Welcome back to another episode of the High Styx Highlights Podcast presented by Smith Sports Media. I'm your host, LJ Smith, and on this episode, I have Coach Cara Bonshak within the High Styx Field Hockey Club. Cara, thank you for spending some time with me on this episode.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're on site at Kutztown University for their indoor tournament right now, so excited to be welcomed on the campus. The whole point of this episode is to learn about you, your playing career, your coaching career, and how you ended up with the High Styx Field Hockey Club. So let's dive right in.
Okay.
When did you first begin playing field hockey?
So I was introduced, I have an older sister. She's 7 years older than me, but I was introduced to the sport from her. My mom played in high school, but I didn't start until about third grade. It was my local youth league. It was Shot Avenue. It wasn't anything in depth. It wasn't anything crazy. It was outdoor. We had little pop-up nets. We were just learning the skills, doing the basics. And a lot of my friends joined, and a lot of us were really interested. I played soccer growing up too, so I was very familiar at a young age of like the way the field works and all of that. So picking up field hockey, it was more of the motor skills of holding a stick and using a ball that you don't use your feet with. It was very different. But third grade, about then, is when I was really introduced to it and able to play and compete with my friends.
So you mentioned your sister playing field hockey, soccer. Was she just an athlete as well that you kind of follow those footsteps?
Yeah, I had some shoes to fill, yes. She kind of introduced me to a lot of sports. We did different sports, but field hockey, she was very good at, and she actually played at Lehigh. She did gymnastics. She didn't really play soccer, so we differed in some of our sports, but I really looked up to her, and I admired that she was involved, and she was always on team sports, and she loved it, and I loved it as well. I have other siblings in between. There's 3 other brothers I have, and they also were involved in sports, so I think the minute I grew up, I was going to their games. I was watching their games. I was at their practices. I was the little kid that got juggled around every weekend, but I loved it. And it just felt like second nature to then pick it up myself. So
having that family influence of just being around sports.
Yeah.
From essentially day one.
Yes, yeah. And I was the little kid at every practice that they probably had to grab off the field because I wanted to play or all that stuff. So, yeah.
And picking up a field hockey stick for the first time, you mentioned the nuances of what field hockey is versus soccer.
Yeah.
And building that up from a young age you said third grade. So what was that like building that up through middle school and high school? Did you take that Shot Avenue club program to middle school, to clubs yourself? What did that transition look like going up through high school?
I went to Whitehall High School. I played for the middle school, all of that. Shot Avenue was our local club, and the girls in my class, we all would play together, and a lot of us played the other sports together, softball, soccer. So we all got together, and actually one of the moms, her name's Martina Schnauer, and I played with her daughter, Rachel. We still keep in touch, and she really introduced the sport and got us involved. And then at the time, Coach Jen Bodner, she was our high school coach. She really was involved with our youth program. So it was almost like a given that if you started then, you were bound to play just because we all enjoyed it. We loved playing with one another. So my middle school experience, it was very competitive, and we were pretty good. And I think it's just because our team gelled so well. All the girls got along. We played different sports together, and it was a fun experience. From then, I knew for a while I had played club soccer, and I thought I wanted to play soccer very heavily, into high school and into college. And it kind of switched for me around middle school when I realized, I like this sport. It's different than soccer. Same type of field perspective, same type of movement in a way, but a lot more technical, a lot different in good ways. And it was quite the adjustment that I switched from, okay, maybe I don't want to do club soccer anymore. And I had experiences close for club soccer that I was like, okay, now maybe I should try club field hockey. And I actually didn't start club field hockey until my freshman year, going into my freshman year of high school. I did local stuff. There's a club that now is no longer a group, but True North Field Hockey is the club I joined, and they had a local branch up in the Lehigh Valley, and I was able to do a few practices there. And I joined an indoor league just like this and got introduced to it. And indoor is just a different type of sport.
Yeah,
man.
for sure.
It's a different type of field hockey in a good way. It challenges your hockey brain, and I really loved it. And so then I was like, okay, soccer's out the window. I still played in high school. Something about Whitehall is we didn't have a ton of numbers, so I had the opportunity to play both field hockey and soccer in the same season. There was about 5 of us who did it, and it was intense. You had a practice, and then you'd go from a practice to a night game in the same day. It was quite the experience, but there was 5 of us who did it, and we all stuck together and we made it happen. Yeah.
That is incredible. So the
Yeah.
idea, because that was when field hockey and soccer went
And
to
this
fall sports
Yep, they
instead
were
of
both
being
in the
separate.
same season, yep.
So
So
you
we
went,
would have lost a ton of numbers in our 2 teams. So there were 5 of us. We would go to practice right after school, and then we'd have a night game because Whitehall, has,
the turf
lights
field,
and the
yeah,
turf field, and our athletic director was great. He really made it happen, scheduling. And we did have to, like, pick a primary sport if there was ever
overlap or
an
anything,
overlap.
yeah.
It never really happened. I could count on my hand maybe once or twice that it was, like, a minor game that maybe we were up in Stroudsburg or somewhere far that we couldn't make the adjustment, but there was 5 of us, and every day we'd probably be at the turf field from after school, 2:45 to probably 8 o'clock, 9 until our
Wow.
games ended. It was quite the experience. Honestly, it did prepare me in ways for college because going through preseason in college, man, you're, like, not ready for it, but I was in a way, I was because I was already doing a double preseason in high school.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
so
a double, not even just a multi-sport athlete, a double fall sport
yeah,
athlete, very,
it was challenging, and
yeah,
I will say, like, now you don't see it obviously
no,
as often, but back then, it was just my school was small, we had a ton of girls who played both,
yeah,
and our coaches were great, they worked with it. There were times, obviously, that it wasn't the best, and maybe people weren't getting as much rest, or the soccer team's going into overtime the night before, and we got a big game the
yeah,
next day, like, our field hockey coach wasn't great, like, not too happy about that, but, I mean, what can you do? And luckily, we all stuck together, so it's not like it was just 1 or 2 people. It was honestly a great experience just because our soccer team was successful as
yeah,
well.
for sure.
Um,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Just Zephyr pride through and
Yeah,
through for sure
yeah,
with that.
absolutely.
So you mentioned playing in high school, dual sport fall athlete in high school. What was the recruiting scene like for you once you obviously said field hockey was going to be your primary sport? Were you pursuing college for soccer as well, or was field hockey your primary thing? Like, walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, I kinda let soccer sit on the shelf. I learned to love field hockey more, so I put my all into that. Like I said, I started club in my going into my freshman year. In that first season, I wouldn't say I was able to join teams and guest play for other teams. And then my second year going into my sophomore year, I really joined True North Hockey Club, and we would go down to Warminster, and it was similar to High Styx. We had one practice a week, and then we would go right into tournaments on the weekend for indoor
Yeah,
specifically. And then we did the different national field hockey festival and all that. So recruiting wise, I will say it's changed so much. I feel like now looking back on my experience, I try to give advice to the girls at this club, but it has changed so much, and there's now more than one tournament a year that okay, over Thanksgiving, when I was growing up and being recruited, it was like everyone went to festival, coaches went to festival, and that was, like, the only one. This is before Shooting Stars started up,
okay,
so I think it's challenging now because you don't know which coaches are gonna go where, but the recruiting process was probably one of the most stressful things ever.
yeah,
I was very stressed, like, all the time, just there's so much pressure, and you're growing up as, like, a young adult now looking back, like, you have to have these conversations with coaches and make an impact. You're kinda selling yourself. You
yeah,
do have to sell yourself. I found it very stressful, and maybe not everyone relates to that, but I remember when I committed to a school, I cried. My mom was like, "Why are you crying? This is, like, such a happy day." I'm like, "It's over." Like, I finally have, like, made a decision, and I've stuck with it, and I'm, like, excited to finally get this process over because you really have to give a lot
mhm.
to get what you want. Otherwise, recruiting, I really put myself out there. I emailed any school and every school. I did close, I did far. I just threw my name out there, threw where I was gonna be, what I was scheduled to play at.
When you were going to these tournaments, were you getting recognized by coaches for your talent? Did you have to reach out and schedule meetings with them? How many campuses did you go on? What was that like? If you want to, like you said, commit yourself to a school and
Yeah,
kind of sell yourself, you want to feel comfortable there as
yeah,
well. So, like,
yeah.
what was that process like for you?
When we did outdoor, we would go to festival. Leading up to festival, I always would email out coaches, send them out my schedule. But then also at festival, my coach, his name is Jeff Harding. He was the head director at True North Field Hockey Club. He brought me onto this team, and the team I was playing up for, honestly, I was playing with girls who were already committed to Division One schools, and I think that was like very eye opening and could be intimidating to some, but honestly, it prepared me the most to know the level you have to play at. So I was fortunate enough to be exposed to that. I think that was very helpful. But during the games, he would actually hand out pamphlets to coaches on the sidelines while we were playing that were there recruiting. And that kind of really exposed us. But I also think when I played around such good people, it drawed coaches to come see. So I was able to get that exposure very early on. As for reaching out and all that, I didn't skimp on who I reached out to. I went close, I went far, I went private schools, I went state schools, I like that color. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I was really going that far of like, oh, maybe this could be fun or whatnot. And then being able to meet with the coaches was definitely better for me because you can then narrow it down like, oh, maybe I don't like that coaching style. Or aside from like the national indoor leagues and also like festival, I did a lot of the daily clinic where it's one day you come, you show up. And it's funny. My mom always said to me like, you got 4 hours to make an impression. Like, I'm driving you out here. We're paying this money. You got to make the most of it. And that's the mentality I had going into it. I don't expect my parents to put all this money in, even the tournaments on the weekend, for me to not show up and do my best. And not every time did I show up and do my best. That was for certain. And there were some clinics that I was like, ooh, that was not my best showing. But you just have to go out there. You have to get yourself out there. And the clinics itself were probably the most beneficial for local schools that I could go and see and just feel out the experience of recruiting. That's kind of the route I went. I went with like the 1 or 2 day clinics. I did a few of the overnight camps, or I would be able to go to the camp for a day. And as a commuter, I do think that was beneficial in a way. Also, because a lot of the summer camps and clinics they'll bring the athletes there. So you're interacting with the athletes.
Yeah.
You're seeing, oh, what could this team be like for me? What's this dynamic? Are the girls nice? Are they friendly? Are they intimidating? I think you get a good judge by being on that campus and being able to see how they run their practices and how they foster their environment.
So what was your ultimate decision? Where did you end up playing college field hockey?
Early on, I was in contact with Michigan State. Between them and Old Dominion was another one of my top choices that I found a draw to both of those coaches, and they were very different in their styles. But Michigan State was ultimately my decision, and I think it was the best decision for me. Growing up, all my siblings actually stayed close. One of them went to Bloomsburg. The other 3 went to Lehigh, and they were all athletes at Lehigh. And growing up in Whitehall, we're only 20 minutes away. So that was very different. Like me going that far, it was like, man, I'm going to make this commitment. But it was the best decision I've made. I remember the first day we went out on a visit, and it was like one of a football game or something or other.
Yeah.
And my dad and my mom, we all flew out there, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like there's just so much to do.
Yeah.
And so much to see. And the coaches were great. Helen Knoll, she actually just retired this year as a coach. She was a big part of my experience, and she showed interest in me from the get-go. And I think that really drew me, that over the years, like, oh, she's dedicated to me and reaching out to me and coming to see my games. And I think that was a big draw. And getting on campus, I did go to a camp over the summer, and I felt connected to a lot of the girls. So Michigan State, that's where I lived for 5 years. I did have a COVID year also, so I was able to extend to the 5, which was great.
And what was your playing experience like during your 5 years?
5 years, yeah. Very different. In high school, I kind of played in the midfield. I played, honestly, where they needed me or in the years. And then going to Michigan State, I came in with the expectation that I would kind of be similar and that I was willing to play anywhere to get on the field as anyone would be. So I started kind of in the backfield or the side mid position. And then my last 2 to 3 years, I played in the center mid position. It was definitely challenging finding my groove and where I want to play, and more so where I can give myself and benefit the team. Maybe I don't have the certain skills to put me in certain places or certain teams. We were just mixing around to play to their style. So, but mainly when I finished my career, I ended in the center mid position. So.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you spent 5 years at Michigan State. What was next for Cara Bonshak after field hockey?
Oh man, that was a $100 million question. While at Michigan State, I studied civil engineering. I graduated in 22 with my civil engineering degree. About 6 months prior, I actually was a little bit stressed out because I realized I didn't know what I wanted to do. I really loved coaching.
Yeah.
I love being a part of the team. So like to leave athletics, it was like you're leaving a part of you behind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the real world that hundreds of athletes face every year. But I didn't know exactly what was driving me, what I was passionate about. And I did study civil engineering and I learned a lot, but I didn't see myself in an office job. And that's, if I want to do design and civil engineering, you're in an
Yeah.
office. So I kind of set myself up for that. But as my sister is a Lehigh field hockey alum,
Mhm.
I got connected with Caitlin
Yep.
Ballmeyer. It was the fall right after I finished my season. The Lehigh Lafayette football game is like the biggest of the year.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually flew home from Michigan for it because my brother and my family were all going, and I met Caitlin there. And
Okay.
she that was the first time we met, and she said to me, what do you think about being a grad student next year and coming to coach with us? And I was like, and at that time I was like, man, I really don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
I do love coaching. I do love the sport. We kickstarted the conversation of, okay, I could go for a year of grad school and see what works out. And maybe if I want to get into coaching or what I find, and maybe it's just a year to figure out what I really want to do, but it really piqued my interest. And then I started doing the research. I started looking into potential classes and what might suit me and all this stuff. So Caitlin kind of got me into the coaching world.
Yeah.
I did a year at Lehigh. It was 11 months. I did a grad program. It was a master's in engineering. It's technical entrepreneurship. And actually, a lot of the fifth-year athletes at Lehigh do it just because it's an 11-month program and they have the opportunity to do a master's.
Yeah.
That's what I did while coaching with Caitlin. I was a grad assistant, but I really bought into the program, and she expected that from me.
Yeah.
And I also wanted that. And I kind of filled in more as an assistant position. I was doing the recruiting. I was doing all the logistics on the side with meals and stuff. I was meeting with the girls for their academics, and being an engineering background, it was actually very helpful. Like I
Yeah.
felt it was a great moment for mentorship because I went through it. The freshmen who are starting out and they want to get into engineering college and they're struggling through classes and practice in a grueling like season.
Very intense.
It was
Yeah.
very fulfilling to like be able to be a mentor to them. And also just being only a year out, I felt like I was on the team at times. Like there's times that I'd look at Caitlin and be like, I kind of want to hop in this drill. Like
Yeah.
there's just moments where I was like, man, this is great. So yeah, I spent my year at Lehigh.
Okay. And then after you spend your year at Lehigh, the master's program, are you still staying involved with coaching?
Caitlin introduced me, obviously, as the director to High Styx. She introduced me while I was still in my grad year. And I was able to actually coach that first year while in my master's program for High Styx. So I had 3 teams. I had the U10s, I had the U12s, and I had a U16.
Okay.
So every day, every practice, I had a varying age group of, you really got to adjust your coaching styles to each one.
Mhm.
The 10s, you really got to hone it in because they're just excited to be there.
Yeah.
The 12s are like, we know enough, but maybe we don't know too much. And that personality of that age group too. And then the 16s where it's like, okay, this isn't our first rodeo. And how can I teach them? And going from college where you're coaching these college athletes who know everything, and
Yeah.
then being laid out to the 10s, the 12s, the 16s, where you're like, yeah, I got to slow it down. I came on a little hard at first, and I was like, I really got to tone it in. But Caitlin introduced me to High Styx. Whenever we did our youth days with the high school team, I always loved being able to play with the athletes and teach them the skill that I grew up loving. It was kind of a no-brainer to get involved, and I really have grown to love it. The girls and the athletes here are great. They're all very nice, and they're all willing, and they're coachable. Every team has its challenges.
Mhm.
And me going into my first season, having 3 teams was a lot. It was intimidating at times in the sense of, am I giving them the right direction? I'm not seeing a tangible difference like I would in a college setting
Yeah.
of girls picking up on skills I'm saying. I wasn't seeing it immediate. So to then go to a 10-year-old, I'd have to evaluate, okay, first practice to the end of the practice, did I give them that growth that they needed? Or did I teach them those lessons? And really changing your perspective of like that immediate gratification in coaching.
You acknowledging the difference
Yeah.
is one big thing too,
Yeah.
because being able to be like, all right, I'm working with college athletes. I can say this and do this, and they're going to do it. But with the U10 group, younger bunch of athletes, all right, we're having fun with this, but we still want you to
Yes,
develop
yeah.
and just learn little things each practice and build upon that
That
way. When you
was-
see them in tournaments and games, you see those things work.
Yes.
So why are you passionate about teaching the sport of field hockey to younger athletes here at High Styx Field Hockey Club?
For myself, being an athlete and being a part of a team and growing and learning taught me so much more about myself, and also has prepared me so much more as an adult in a real world in the job. you're going through working on a team. You're learning different emotions and how you can react and how you shouldn't react. Discipline, showing up on time, make sure you're wearing the right things. I mean, that's like so cliche to say, but you learn so much as a person. And I think I wanted to have that impact on others. And in a world where social media takes over and you're always under a spotlight, I wanted to be able to like provide that guidance to someone, even if it's they take one thing from me and it's okay, we're gonna show up on time, that's fine.
Yeah.
I would like to be known for that. Like at least I taught you that.
Accountability.
Or
Yeah.
something of the matter is like I know I'm not gonna change lives every day and I might not affect anyone's in a way, but I want to be able to give back to a program that I went through or learned through field hockey and be able to kind of emulate that to them and have them grow and hopefully learn something.
And how would you describe your coaching style and how that aligns with High Styx?
Now, it may depend on the age group.
For sure.
I will say
Yeah, absolutely.
I do cater to differently. The older groups, I am more stern. I have a high expectation, but I think because I was held to a high expectation, I appreciate that much more. And every coach is different, and I try and bring the fun side of it. I try and bring the younger perspective, or someone who's well, now I'm old, but fresh out of college, where I'm like trying to bring the fun, but also bring the intensity. I'd say I'm a little bit of a mix of both.
Yeah.
Now the 10-year-olds probably think I'm just fun because that's the age where I'm like, you should be having fun. There
Yeah.
should be no pressure. I just want you to learn. But when I'm coaching the older groups, the 14s to 16s, I do come on a little bit more stern. I
Yeah.
will say I just have high expectations because I know that they can push themselves. I think this is the age to push yourself and really see how far you can really grow and really challenge yourself before you become an adult. So
Yeah, the life skills that
yeah,
you're also
yeah,
teaching
yeah,
through
absolutely.
the sport.
I think it's so important. It is. Being an athlete really prepares you. And I think even now I work in construction right now. I'm an assistant project manager for a general contractor and I'm constantly working on teams. I'm constantly working with people with high emotions, hitting deadlines, making sure we're doing everything we can to build or complete a project. Every day I could tell you how field hockey and growing up as an athlete has helped me and prepared me for that job. So,
That's excellent.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that doesn't go unnoticed. I feel a lot of the coaches talk about that point a lot and seeing the different fields that the coaches that are part of this field hockey club are in. It's not just coaches. Some of them are just
Yeah.
strictly college coaches. Some of them have real jobs and they're doing this on top of their real jobs, just like you are, and seeing the comparison and the things that cross over from sport and real world application.
Yeah.
If you can give that to a U16, U14 and down, just planting the seed
Yes.
of
Yeah.
being able what you're doing and how that's going to benefit them down the road as well.
Caitlin has done a great job of kind of recruiting in this coaching staff at High Styx, and they're all so different in their ways. And I think it's the best thing. Some are more strict than others, some are more fun than others, but also the balance allows for different athletes who may not like a certain coaching structure to be kind of involved with other coaches in that different style. And I think that's great. We're all different in ways, and there's ways that I might not be the strongest coach, but another one picks up. Whereas like, for instance, Meg, the Muhlenberg field hockey coach,
Yep.
she's able to throw these drills at me, and I'm like, man, I've been out of it in drill thinking. Like she can put together a practice plan like it's nothing. I'm good at instructing
Yeah.
and getting in there and getting in the technical depths, and we balance each other. We practice together on Wednesdays, and I feel like that balance is great at this
Oh, for
level.
sure.
It allows different coaching styles, different athletes to kind of mesh with different coaches. And hats off to Caitlin. She does a great job. And this club is in good hands.
And
So,
speaking of this club, do you have any favorite memories or favorite moments that you've experienced over your tenure
well,
here?
we're here today at Kutztown, and
Yeah.
this is always one of my favorite tournaments at Kutztown. They host a great tournament. And aside from the Nook, it's just more tight knit. There's only 3 courts. It's a lot of like more focus in on the game. I coached a few years back a U10 team, and now I go out there today and they're playing, and they're so talented, that
Yeah.
group of girls. And their first win here was like the best part of coaching. They were 10 years old. They were excited to just be there.
Yeah.
And they ended up winning. I think they went undefeated that tournament, and just to get the medal, the ribbon, and get their photos. I think that's probably my most rewarding memory so far. I mean, I'm sure there will more to come. Just that age group too, to love the game. It's great to be around, and they're fun to coach. They're exciting to coach. And now I see them on the U12 stage, and they're tall. They're almost taller than me. It's great to see.
And if there's a parent or other potential athletes watching this, why should they choose High Styx Field Hockey Club to compete?
Like I said before, there's so much to offer at this club. They're constantly thinking of new ways to get athletes involved. They're constantly doing pickup games, or this year we have the Remix League, and constantly thinking of new ways to get kids involved without the pressures of we're always competing against other people. It's just for the fun of it in a way, but also to challenge you to continue to keep your hand on your stick. So that is one, but also just the different coaching styles and staff that we have are really great. And they have years of experience, years of knowledge. I'm learning from them daily. So if I'm learning, any athlete who comes is going to constantly learn. They truly will learn and grow and be prepared going into even just high school and what to expect and be pushed in good ways.
Cara Bonshak, thank you so much for spending some time with me on this episode.
Great to talk with you, LJ.
It's great to reconnect. A couple of Zephyrs just chatting here, but I appreciate you taking time in and spending some time with me on this episode.
Absolutely.